happening. Before we get into that, let's look at this. We have profitpilot.com up here. It's the website that is mine. If you guys want to come check this out, we're going to be doing some revamping, so it'll be even better and smoother and everything will be great with it. But I do like to write newsletters. I put them out twice a week, so if you guys want to see what I'm talking about, what I'm looking at, and what's happening out there, this is a good place to find it. And if you guys want to learn more about what I do and the services that I offer, whether it be the subscription service or the classes that I teach, you can come find them here underneath the services, and then you can scroll down and find them there. Also on the right, you can subscribe. You can get the free newsletters that I put out, so do that. You're going to see all this free stuff down there. So we got that. I'll circle back a little bit later to talk about it. Now, we'll go into the market here. Let's kind of pull that down. And let me know if there are anything in particular that you guys are looking at, because I always appreciate feedback. I always like to know that you guys are paying attention, that you're engaged, and that I'm actually providing information or knowledge or just something that is relevant to you all. So I want to make sure I'm not just out here talking into darkness. I want to make sure it's useful. What I've been looking at with this current market is I keep kind of saying I've got some major trust issues with it. I tried shorting it a little while ago and nailed this particular short right there, went all the way down to these moving averages, but then it just bounced right back. And ever since then, it's basically been a zombie market in the way I view things. It doesn't look very strong. I'm not sure what it's doing. I keep seeing that price keeps going up, but the indicator has been going down, so that's why I was looking at it. And then I was looking for price here. Sorry, my touchpad needs to probably be rebooted. And I was looking for price here to go underneath, stay underneath the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator was below zero, but then it popped back up. I thought some of this might have been the Tesla influence and what's going on there. And since then, it got back over the 15-minute 50. Then yesterday it popped up and took a dip and then kind of recovered. And it just keeps grinding higher. This is really quite strange. The Moxie indicator, while they aren't terrible, they're not rolling over, they are trending up, but they're not very strong. One of them is still below zero. They're also spread from each other, and I'm just not seeing anything that I'm super comfortable with. The other thing I'm noticing is on the hourly chart, we keep trying to push up and up and up, but the Moxie indicator keeps drifting down, down, down. This, when I talk to the students and I teach about this in the class I just had, this needs to be, you need to understand what your indicators are trying to communicate to you. Indicators are fine. We use them for a reason, but we look at them and we need to think, what is it telling us? What is it trying to communicate? What's the point of this indicator, and what do we need to know about it? And the Moxie indicator is a momentum-based indicator, and so what it's telling us is what's going on with energy, what's going on with momentum, what do we have as far as gas in the tank. And what this keeps telling me is, why is the Moxie indicator, which is telling me momentum is going down, that's coming out of it, even though price keeps going higher and higher? That seems counterintuitive. That doesn't seem right. And that is basically what I'm gleaning from it. And it makes me nervous because I'm looking at this thinking, well, the 15-minute doesn't look very good, and the hourly keeps having price come down, and I just don't see what's going on. Mind you, that the entire backdrop is that we are at previous all-time highs. Typically, that is natural resistance. Now, maybe we're going to keep kind of pushing up, pushing up, pushing up until we finally get that last game of whack-a-mole and figure out who's really willing to keep buying all these new highs, and then suddenly nobody else is willing to after that. Another thing to look at, if we get in a little bit closer, let me kind of zoom in on this one. The last time we did a little bit of a pullback was right here as price ran into the third ATR on the daily chart. We are starting to get there again. We're starting to get there again. Sorry, my drawing tool is kind of acting up. But we're coming up on the third ATR again on the hourly chart, and we just keep grinding up in this weird situation. So I just can't express how much caution I want to be putting out there, even though price keeps moving up. Anyway, with that being said, Emram, good to see you. Aaron, let's see. Yeah, I'll take a look on that. And then, yeah, I'll move around to gold and bonds, currencies, and then Microsoft. So, yeah, let's kind of keep moving around. And then I looked at IWM, and it was really overbought. And today, the IWM and actually some stocks out there that are small caps and some of the stuff, the junk that's coming up off the bottom, they are starting to move today. But I'm looking at this, and other than where they were overbought, it's just been kind of floating down. And as I said, today is kind of having an up day. Still not sure about it though. I'm still not super confident about this. Yes, we have price crossing the moving averages, but I really don't see much strength here, even though they are trending up. So they're moving, but I keep saying it seems like a zombie market. And then if we go over to the Qs, this obviously has been the strongest. You know, we've had Apple that keeps kind of moving up. Amazon moves up. We've had Tesla that was doing its crazy thing because of its stock split news. So it keeps moving up, but it's becoming unsupported as well. It's up here at the third ATR on the hourly chart. And finally this morning, we see that price actually touched the 15-minute 50. I was talking yesterday that that was a concern of mine that for now 2 days it hadn't touched that moving average. So it's at least getting a little bit of traction right there, but I'm still not seeing a ton of strength. We'll see what's happening with that. All right, let's take a look at EEM. Aaron, if you were kind of looking at that, not a whole lot I'd like to do here. I'm very cautious about the Moxie indicator being underneath zero this entire time, and for me, at least on the hourly chart, it has given me no trades because it's been basically oscillating through the hourly 50. You know how much I like the 50 SMA, but the fact that it just keeps oscillating through there, there's no trade for me on that time frame. Maybe as long as price stays above the hourly 200, then great, but I really don't have a clear picture here on the hourly chart. None of my style of trading is working. And then maybe on the daily chart you can say, well, as long as price stays above the daily 21, then it's okay. But it's kind of tough. It's a tough one to look at. All right, gold, GLD. I haven't looked at them in a while. And I did have an interview, I believe it was on Monday, and he was asking about gold, and I said, you know, I see that this is a pullback, it's a correction. He said, is this a time to buy? I said, it might be the low, you know, this pullback might be the low, but I said, as far as the kind of trading that I do, it has not proven itself. And at that time, Monday, price was running right into a downtrending hourly 50. And I said, sorry, I just can't buy it. It did end up going one more day up, and then look where we are, back down below where it was on Monday. So this is why I said, nope, it's not a trade for me, because I am not confirmed that this thing has actually held. So it continues to just chop around sideways, flag sideways. There's no entry on it yet that I can see. And as it, maybe this is the low, but I can't confirm that yet. And so I just wait. Let's see, let me take a look at GDX. I haven't looked at them yet, the gold miners. You know, same thing. Is there a trade here yet? No, I don't see it yet. Nothing's quite set up. So it's going to be similar to gold. And then bonds, TLT, I'm not going to be seeing anything there. They kind of started, they broke a while ago. And you can see right here, that's why I love the Moxie indicator right there, the Moxie price trigger saying, you know, this trade's not going to be working out anymore. So if you're long, you should be getting out. And then you can see it basically followed the 15-minute 50 on down. I don't see anything yet either. We're still running into the underside of a downtrending moving average on the hourly. So nothing there, very neutral. And then what was the other one? Currencies. I don't tend to look at currencies. The only one that I sometimes look at is UUP, which is the dollar, just to see what's happening. Now the dollar was catching a little bit of support in through here last week, which was maybe putting some pressure on equities and on gold. It has since fallen over, but I still think that this thing is trying to bottom for now. Like right now I'm seeing price down, seeing the Moxie indicator up. That's some divergence, that's some energy that's trying to come in. But until that actually happens, I don't see it quite yet, but it does seem like it wants to slow down its descent, and it might be starting to level out and maybe start to go up a little bit. So I'd be cautious about UUP to the downside. So I think that kind of covers the big picture of what's going on out there. And then I'll just say one more reminder, we're going to be posting things in the channel here for anybody else who shows up, but theprofitpilot.com is my website. This is where you come and you can check out some of the stuff that I've been writing about. One of them here is actually kind of interesting. I was talking about how the UVXY, or the VIX, was starting to actually move up while the S&P was starting to move up. And a lot of times we see that as a divergence, between two different indices or two different trading mechanisms. And I looked at that and I said, usually this tells me that something's going on. Now, since then, UVXY continued to go down, the SPY continued to go up, but I keep looking at this and it just seems as though something's going on. Like it keeps melting down a little bit, but it's trying again. It's trying to level out again. And I keep watching this, and I think that it's trying to communicate something to us. Let's look at the VIX. The VIX looks like it's trying to hammer out a bottom, doesn't it? So to me, I'm looking at this saying, this looks like it wants to not go down any further. It's starting to put in this kind of level right here. The Moxie indicator has been positive and over zero the whole time, and it's telling me I think that a little bit of fear or a little bit of hedging is starting to come into the market, because I think a lot of other people are looking at this and saying, I'm not sure how much further the market can go either, and we need to be watching stuff like the VIX for cues if the market's going to start rolling over. And that's kind of the caution I'm putting out there. So that was me writing about that a little bit ago. It since has not worked out, but I'm still looking because I still have that feeling that something's going on here. All right, Microsoft MSFT. Let's see, we're asking Microsoft, after it comes back to test the 50, and then do I anticipate a cross of the zero, of the Moxie coming through zero? So yeah, so what you're saying here is you're looking at the positive divergence and you're looking at the Moxie indicator almost crossing zero like that. And I would say, or maybe if my pen would work here, maybe price right there is just about to tap the hourly 50. That's a possibility, but I'm also not seeing a ton of strength here on the 15-minute time frame. Just looking lackluster. So if you're going to be trading something like Microsoft at this point, I would say, it may not be following the 15-minute 50, but it needs to follow the 15-minute 200, and I would really prefer that it starts to engage with the hourly 50. So kind of take a look at that, see if it holds. If it doesn't, then you got to get out. That's the best kind of thing. Like if it just can't hold these moving averages, then you got to get out. Now, speaking of the Moxie indicator being one notch away from zero, let me show you CRSP, CRISPR. I got into this one yesterday. I sent out an alert to the Moxie subscribers and I said, yeah, this thing's looking pretty good. And I wish I got in even a little bit earlier, but I'm an end of day trader and this thing even started to get volume on the end of the day. This one was looking really, really, really good. So we went in, we're going to be making some social media posts about this, but we went in yesterday right here, so it was on the 18th. You can see we had that same divergence similar to Microsoft. And then look at the 15-minute. This 15-minute time frame looked amazing. For 2 days, the price had stayed over the 15-minute 50. It bounced off the 15-minute 50, and then it flagged into the 15-minute 50 by the end of the day. And you can see here that the Moxie indicator was nice. It was over zero. Everything was looking good. And then it started to really move up in the last, 30 minutes of the day. So we went in. You could see that there was good volume at the end of the day. And then this morning, this thing just shot up 10%. And it's holding. So this is really fantastic. We took a little bit off just to capture our gains. At this point, anything can happen, and it's still a profitable trade for us. And that was fantastic. So we really looked at that one. That was a great one. Another one that we went into was pins. And, it felt a little extended, but this thing is definitely in an uptrend. And what I was looking at was, yeah, it had a huge bounce off of earnings. And it was just flagging sideways. Did a little bit of a trampoline move here because the Moxie indicator is still above zero, so it still had upward momentum, upward buoyancy. And what I was looking for here on the 15-minute time frame was the Moxie indicator above zero, and I wanted to see price stay above and bounce off of the 15-minute 50, which it did. It did that yesterday. So very, very good about that, and pretty happy about it. Joe, I think that might just be you about blurry screens, but we're going to be checking that out. We have some people asking about it. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, we got a bunch of other names. All right, let's look at ABBV. Let's see what's happening on that one. All right. It's kind of at it's at about a halfway point for what I'd be looking at. you know, it looks like it's trying to be touching the hourly 50, and it is trying to get past the hourly 200, but this is kind of in a little bit of a middle section. I don't foresee price really just kind of moving like that. I have a feeling that this is probably going to kind of meander a little bit until you can actually get the hourly 50 over the hourly 200. So kind of maybe give that a little bit of a break, but again, if price can hold the hourly 50, then great. But I'm not so sure that this thing's really going to keep taking off from here. Part of what I'm seeing is that on the 15-minute, we get price up and the Moxie indicator has been going down. So it's telling me this thing's starting to wear out a little bit on this time frame. It's a little awkward. It's kind of in a funny position, honestly. All right, then let's look at, yeah, GBTC. So Bitcoin, I've been looking at this one very closely. I've been trying to find a second entry because we got in here, we took some off here, and then we exited the position completely right there. So that was a perfect trade. That whole thing just worked out wonderfully. Then I had a few subscribers, right in here said, hey, looks like GBTC, Bitcoin is ready to go again. And it did pop, but it wasn't my setup. And this is kind of what I mean about, say, ABBV. This was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I wasn't super thrilled about this move, even though it did move. It didn't really satisfy my entry. And you can see, well, I wasn't exactly wrong, because from here to here, it's right back down to where it was. And so I look at this saying, okay, yeah, I wasn't wrong. And now I say, well, is there an entry? Still no entry yet. Price is still underneath the moving average. The Moxie indicator is still below zero. And I can't confirm that price is going to bounce off the hourly 50. So I don't quite see anything yet. Along with that, I was seeing Riot. And they're all going to probably move the same. Riot, Bitcoin, they're going to move together. And I looked at Riot and I said, I don't see a trade on this one either. I think it was yesterday or the day before, I saw price coming right into the 15-minute 50, and I said, I'm not so sure that this thing is going to hold. I'm just not so, I just don't think it's going to hold the 15-minute 50, and sure enough, it didn't. So at this point, I continue to wait and just say, is this going to hold at some point? And I don't see it yet. All right, then, let's see, I think AMD. See if I get my cursor working. AMD. Oh yeah, I covered this this morning on something else. It needs to wait. It had such a big move. It's going to have to digest it. And right now, honestly, it seems as though the risk is to the downside. I just changed one of my tools. It seems as though the risk is to the downside. This thing is really, really up there, really extended, and now we are underneath the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator is fired downward. I don't see anything that tells me this thing wants to go up, and you're underneath moving averages on the 15-minute time frame. So actually, I'd be very careful that your risk is to the downside for AMD. So no long trade on that one. And then ADBE. Yep, and then Adobe looks pretty good. This one I do like. We just need to make sure that it comes out of the chop. You can see here on the daily chart, it's been bouncing off the daily 50, looking pretty good. Now, it is at previous highs. So the question is, can it break out? Is it going to do it now, or is it going to need a pullback? So that's kind of the question that you're going to have to decide and figure out. If it keeps going up here from now, it's going to be following the 15-minute 50. If it breaks the 15-minute 50, then most likely it's going to pull back down to the hourly 50 and then move up from there. But overall, things look pretty good on this. It just needs to get out of this channel, get out of this flag, and start making new highs at some point. Okay, ABT. Seems like it needs a more sideways move. I imagine that price should, whenever this happens, should stay over the hourly 200. So look for that to at least have price stay over the hourly 200. That should also mean that price should stay over the daily 21. Now, if it breaks either of these, like if this thing really starts to roll over and starts to get below these moving averages, then you just got to get out and say, hey, it didn't quite work out. Part of the reason I say that is because I'm looking at this and the Moxie indicator is still below zero. So it's a little bit out of phase. I'd like to see this thing actually start to engage with the hourly 50 if it's going to move. But for now, it's just trending sideways. That's kind of what the whole market is doing. The whole market's just kind of not doing too much. Snap. Another one I was looking at. You can actually see I was looking at it. I put a paper trade on. That is why I have that line right there. You can see that the Moxie indicator crossed 0 today as well. But price down, Moxie indicator up. That's our divergence. That's the pressure that's starting to come into this thing. And then you can see here's your level, and then the Moxie indicator continues to trend up. And yesterday it basically bounced off of the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator was looking pretty good. So yes, this one was looking really great. I was trading Snap, which I'm looking on my screen. Spot. Spot is still looking pretty good on that one, and I think it has a similar setup and pattern to Snap. Now, going forward, if Snap is going to work, it's going to have to figure its way past the hourly 200 at some point. So be careful that might be an issue. Right now it looks really good, but things could change. It could run into the hourly 200 and roll over, or just have real problems trying to get past it. And then keep in mind that the daily chart still needs a lot of work because the 8 is still below the 21. So still needs some time on that one. Okay, looks for a drop in just a couple frames. And then, let's see, Amazon, yeah, let's see what some of the big names are doing. Yeah, trying to break out. It's been doing a flag. Now, these are not one of the names that I like to trade. It's just not really, it's too big. It doesn't really work for me. It's the percentages are slow. But here's your divergence. The Moxie indicator has now fired. I don't know if this is an ideal place to enter. If you're already in, great. But I wouldn't exactly enter this because price here is at the third ATR on the hourly chart. Now, if you're already in it, you're trying to see if this thing is going to go, I would be looking at probably the 15-minute time frame to see if price can keep following the 15-minute 50. So let's kind of go see if that can do that. It would be great if this keeps going. But again, I'm just very cautious about this market. So see if price can stay over the 15-minute 50. If it doesn't hold that, then your next resort is you need to see if price can hold the hourly 50. All right, then, the esoteric silver, let's see, silver and all of those, they're going to be moving at same with gold. I just don't see anything yet. They're flagging sideways. Maybe they'll find some support, but I don't see anything yet. And then Neo was on the list. I do want to trade this at some point. I'm also not sure that this is quite ready. If this is going to work, I would like to see price hold the 15-minute 50. It might do the same thing that I showed you with Riot, in that Riot was right on the 15-minute 50 a couple days ago, and then it fell off of it, and then there's been no trade. And I'm wondering if that might be the kind of the same situation as Neo. It's been going sideways, it hasn't been going anywhere. Right here, price, that was the inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 when the Moxie indicator is below 0. We're kind of in the same situation, but then we could say, well, here's some divergence. I don't know. This one's tough. I'm looking for a little bit clearer of a picture for something like this to happen, and maybe that's going to be the 15-minute 50 today. But man, I'm just not really feeling this market. So be careful out there. Aaron, we covered the EEM earlier, so when this comes out on recording, go check it out again. Make sure you can see the recording that I had. All right, Flex. Don't see anything on that. Marco. Do you see how Flex is still basically in downtrend? We do have price, kind of coming up onto the daily 50, but we haven't confirmed that it's going to bounce. And do you see that on the hourly chart, that price is still in a downtrend and the Moxie indicator is still very much below 0. So I don't see anything yet here. And on the 15-minute time frame, price is still below the moving averages here. So as far as an entry or a bounce or anything, I don't see it. Right here is where the Moxie price trigger fired to the downside. So that's where I would have gotten out if I were in it. Work, I don't think that there's, see, not much going on here either. I do see that there's price down, indicator up, and the Moxie indicator is fired. This could start having a move, but I don't think it's really ready for a swing trade. So if you're going to be trading something like work, keep it real short term, because if price is able to move from where it is currently, it's probably going to run into the underside of the downtrending hourly 200 and then get rejected. I just don't see that it's got a lot of, it still has a lot of work to do, no pun intended, until the daily chart engages. It still has the 8 below the 21. So even if this thing starts to move, it just isn't ready to really take off. So not an ideal situation for work right here. If you're going to trade it, be very nimble and take your little gains, because I don't think this one's going to really start running to the moon. Okay, so, and then Tesla. There's nothing to do about Tesla at this point. It has had its insane move. It's really extended. There's nothing to obtain right here. In fact, John Carter just made $3 million off of it on this last run. So he's doing really, really well with Tesla, and he sold out of it yesterday. So if he sold out of it, I think I wouldn't be stepping into it. SDC, I don't see anything here yet either. It had a little bit of a bounce, but it's still underneath all these moving averages. If anything, guys, I hope this kind of shows you that, yeah, they're kind of some stuff. Thanks, Ethan. 3.75 million for John, apparently. God, how dare I leave out that $750,000 at that point? My goodness. But yeah, if you guys see what I'm kind of pointing out here, there's not a whole lot going on. There are a few things that are moving, but they're few and far between, and I am keeping things very tight because I just don't think that this market is really going to keep ripping. But yeah, Boeing, I don't see anything yet either. It's trying. Potentially this is a trampoline move, but it's still underneath all of the moving averages. Still under. And then we'll do one more before we get going. Workhorse, because I do know that one. And I looked at, you guys can see that I tried trading this one in the past. I looked at this one yesterday because it did pop. Here was yesterday. It popped up here, popped up here. But remember, as I said with Amazon, when it's up here at the third ATR, it is not a very good place to enter. That is not ideal. It's not ideal up there. And you can see what it did today. It's fading. It's fading down. I'm not quite ready to tackle something like this. I really would like to at some point. I think this could be an exciting name. Same with NEO, but it's not there yet. We have not engaged with the hourly 50 yet. The Moxie indicator is still below 0, and we're starting to pull back to the 15-minute 50. So until I can start seeing that some of these moving averages are respected and can be used for support, I don't see it yet. So that's kind of where we're at, and let's show you one more time over here, profitpilot.com, in case anybody isn't familiar with it, but that's where you can get more information about me, the newsletters that I write, and if you want to check out either the alert service, where I just put out CRISP, CRSP, yesterday, and that thing shot up 10% in a couple hours this morning. I'm looking at Spotify. Spotify is doing well for us this morning, and Pinterest is doing well. I actually didn't think that this was going to be a good day. It's turning out to be a great day. And so those of you who are interested, come over here to the Moxie Mastery. That's where you can get the subscription service. Or if you want to own the Moxie indicator yourself, you can check out the classes and the tools, Moxie Stock Method, over here. So thanks again, everybody. You guys take care, and I'll check in with you next week.